This first episode, I really just wanted to go down this rabbit hole because I'm sure you see tons of shorts, anything on Instagram telling you the benefits of starting a podcast, possibly. You're like, yeah, I get it. Everyone has a podcast, and da-da-da-da-da. I want to start this more in a conversation manner about why it could be really beneficial for you. You have followers, you have people that have already plugged in to know what's going on, and maybe that podcast can just unearth it just a lot better. The greatest reason, in my opinion, that you should have a podcast in your content strategy is welcome to the first episode of the XYZ, hosted by me, Zeke Rempel. So I kind of wanted this first episode to kind of discuss why you should add a podcast to your content strategy. And this podcast is actually going to be encompassing ideas of why you should do that and how to help you add a podcast to your content strategy if you're already a content creator or business owner. But I also will be doing conversations with people who either have content strategies going, including a podcast, maybe not, or at least got to where they are in business or in other means and how they facilitated to get there. And what tools they've used. And so I'll be having good conversations. For instance, my next episode, which will be an interview with my dad, who actually leads a church here in the Valley, started one. I'm in the Phoenix area, and so we call it the Valley. That's why I said the Valley. And in that conversation, we talk about how scary it was to step out and to do a lot of what business owners have to do these days, including myself. And so a little bit background on me, I'll kind of go through that episode as well. But just a quick background on me is I run a podcast studio here in Phoenix, Arizona, called XYZ Podcast Studio. And I help people record podcasts. Simply, they rent out the studio, I help them record it. And I want to create a marketing strategy to help people. And I originally thought I wanted to teach people how to run studios, but that's not fun. That's not where my passion is. And so this podcast is going to be specifically about helping other people who have content strategies going, but want to find a way to add less effort and more outcomes. And so more return, so to say. And a podcast is perfectly curated for that. And so I wanted to go down this rabbit hole because I'm sure you see tons of shorts, anything on Instagram telling you, the benefits of starting a podcast, possibly. And you're like, yeah, I get it. Everyone has a podcast, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And so I want to start this more in a conversation manner about why it could be really beneficial for you. But first, I want to make sure you understand that this is not for people who are not really content creators yet or business owners. Not that you can't listen to it and learn from it, but if you're just someone that's like, I might want to do a podcast because it sounds fun. I want to start my journey to growing a following and community. And sure, you can watch this. However, I'm creating videos on my channel. Go find them. It's how to start a podcast in 30 days. And it kind of walks you through your first 30 days and how you get your first 4 episodes if you're doing a weekly podcast. If you're in that boat, go watch those videos and really go down that journey. They're not all out yet. I'm releasing them every other week. So go check those out. Those will be really awesome to pretty much learn everything there is to pretty much start a podcast, all the way from your idea to basically your first 4 episodes up and running and how to learn from it. And pretty much get that train of content creation for your podcast going in that recording process. So this episode is more for people who, again, are already content creators, business owners. You know the content game. You know the importance of why you need marketing. You know why you need content to obviously generate leads, to build your following, to get as much out of your ROI, so to say, on every post video that you're trying to create. Now, let's break down what other forms of media that you could lean on for marketing. And I think there's benefits to each of these, and then I'll end on podcasts and why I think it might be the perfect route for you. But the first one is like, for example, blog posts. Okay. Blog posts are great, written format, are great at showcasing your knowledge. And this could also be broken down into like Twitter or X posts, and you can break that down in that way. This also could be a great source for creating short form content, is basically putting your knowledge down in a written format around a topic and showcasing why you know that knowledge in that area. And again, I think this medium is a great way, again, to showcase why you're an expert in your field, and creates great real content. I've created content like this. And so I'd say it's not so much called blog posts anymore. I think it's more of just like your expert posts, I guess, so to say. And so I will post content about how many reels you could edit out of a podcast, because I do that on a regular basis. I know how to do it. I know what to look for. So that's one form of content that you could go down the rabbit hole and try to create for your company, business, your YouTube channel, whatever it may be, to build that following. Now, the next thing to do is YouTube videos. And this will more showcase visually your business or your page or whatever it may be. This will basically be the bread and butter of why people will be funneled into your page. And I think it's a great way to showcase the top level of what's going on. It's not so much, it kind of can do what the blog and the short form content will do, but it's more or less the best side of you. And so, for example, I would say this is more of if I was doing it for my podcast studio, I would do more of like montages of like my best podcasts I've created in a really cool way. Maybe some moving B-roll around. It showcases basically the best front of me. So like for real estate, it's maybe doing like market updates and doing some success stories of other people that have found success in buying houses and stuff like this. YouTube videos can be great for that. And if you're a content creator, YouTube videos might be the best money maker for you, because it can get those views. And I think that's a great route to go for if you're looking for AdSense and brand deals, because when you're doing a YouTube video, it demands someone's attention. They probably will be intentionally watching it, even though that makes it really hard to edit and create because it's more retention based. But there's one thing I think it's missing in each of these. And you can achieve it really well if you know how to master it and when you create these. But that's really connecting with your audience and getting on an intimate level with them. This is where podcasts come in. And I think it's the best way to really get on the level of whoever you're marketing to, wherever you're trying to get to subscribe to your channel, whatever it may be. I think it's the best way to get to their level, have an intimate conversation with them, even though they're just watching you, and to really sell them on what you're trying to provide for them, whether that's entertainment, whether that's a digital product, whether that's a course, whether that's the community that you want them to be subscribed into. Whatever it may be, I think that podcasts do that the best. And so let's say you're a business owner, content creator, and you don't have a podcast, but you're wanting to have a way to add to the content you're creating with minimal effort and have the best returns. And again, this is not for people who are considering podcasts as their first step into content creation. I'm merely suggesting podcasts could be the next step for you as a content creator, because there's many benefits to this, right? Podcasts are very easy to make. You could go down the rabbit hole of just recording a Zoom call, interviewing somebody. I run a podcast studio, so part of that marketing helps people to understand that they should probably go into a studio and do it, because you can get these professional cameras, these microphones, and look like you know what you're doing, and also create an experience for your guests. So yes, it can be easy to make, but there's also a great potential here to really display some high-end quality content. And so I'd go down that hole. Maybe it's building out something in your home office to have two people sit next to each other, or sitting in living rooms. I see some awesome content from people who just sit in the living rooms with a lot of natural light and some microphones and some cameras, and it looks great. Buying equipment can be really frustrating, and doing a 3-camera setup, that's probably the biggest limiting factor for people to not start really great podcasts with high quality content. So my suggestion is find a studio. There's a lot of great studios in a lot of cities, including me. I have a studio. That's what I provide. That's the problem I provide for people, or solution I provide for people. So podcasts can be very simple to make, but I think the greatest reason why you should be doing a podcast is because it basically has your ideal person sit down in a conversation with you for an hour plus. They get to know you on a very intimate level, just like you're kind of doing with me. My episode may not be an hour because it's a solo episode, so these are a little bit harder to do, mainly in this conversational manner. But it really exposes you to really have that relatability and that comfort level increase with that audience member. And there's a lot of other great benefits to it. I mean, you can get a lot of content out of an hour podcast. You can get up to 14 reels. I think it's squeezing it a bit much, but you can get 14 pieces of short form content to post on all your platforms. You can even get 6 to 7 minute clips if you want to edit those into really good YouTube videos. That's kind of what Joe Rogan does. He does those Joe Rogan clips. Then it can have this incredible ability to grow your network. If you're having circulating guests on your show, you can have people in your sphere, people you don't know, and because you're just, hey, let's do a podcast together, they get some content out of it. It's a great way to just meet new people and to grow, again, your network, and to see where that goes, grow your business that way. It also is, I think, the best way to showcase your personality, because podcasts will ultimately showcase your curiosity, because you're going to be having conversations with people that you want to talk about. You're not going to talk about something you have no idea anything about, or something you don't want to talk about. And if you built the business, you have content creation already going in your field, then you're passionate, you have a knowledge base, and you want to stay in that field. So ultimately, you're going to talk about what you're curious about. And people will want to know that beyond just the high-end production YouTube videos or the glamour posts of success on Instagram. And so what you want to do is you're going to want to chase your curiosities. And so in those conversations, you'll ask questions about maybe things that people didn't know that you liked. Could be the sport, could be the movies, could be, anything, makeup, I don't know, whatever it may be. Those are just some of the benefits of creating a podcast. And I'm not going to go into detail in those too much, because those could be future content ideas for me. This is more convincing you why you should add to your content with a podcast. I believe why you should supplement your content strategy with a podcast, if you have not already, is because it gives you a way out. And what I mean by this is, let's say you're a YouTube creator, for instance, right? And you have a YouTube channel and it's about something very specific. And at the beginning, that's what you love to create content about. Let's fast forward, you become successful, and you're at 6 years, 7 years down the line, and you're getting kind of burnt out creating content about it. Now, if you start a podcast, again, like I mentioned previously in this podcast, you're going to talk about what you're curious about, and it's going to open up different conversations, ideas, topics that maybe break out of that subject matter that you have maybe scaled upon on your previous content. And it'll open up other possibilities of maybe what you have knowledge base in, or maybe what other things you want to ask people to come on the show to talk about. And how that becomes a way out for you is because you don't have to continually grind at that subject matter that maybe you got popular at. It's that next step of maybe maximizing your time and your curiosities to the best of its efforts. Because we all know if you're creating content about something you don't really want to talk about, it doesn't become good content. And eventually, you're probably going to fall as a creator. Think about the long game. Think about long term. Where is your career going to go? Where's the content you're going to go? Where's the content creation going to go? And you want to secure yourself. And another thing that's great about podcasts is that it can diversify what platform you're focused on. We're in the world that maybe TikTok might get banned. So if you're a great short form content creator, what creating a podcast will do is it will get you on YouTube, because you should be doing your video podcast episodes there. You can get on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's where your audio should be. It also can create mass amounts of short form content. So you can go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. And then you also could even transcribe that and create blog posts. And that could be a written format on X or whatever you're hosting your blog posts on. So it can diversify where you're making money. And there's also the potential of brand deals and making more money because it's a longer watch time. It gets people to sit with you for longer than an hour. Brand deals love that, or brand companies love that, because it just gives you more capability of selling something if somebody is spending that much time with you. Yes, people might be folding laundry, going on walks. They may not be attentively watching maybe like the YouTube videos. However, every once in a while, if you just do an ad and talk about maybe a brand that you're really connected with, that'll be really valuable. So really, I just kind of end it with focusing on those two reasons I kind of walked through throughout this entire episode, so to say, is why you should add a podcast to your content strategy. Was that intimate connection. It can really get connected to your audience on a very deeper level than any other piece of content might. And the other reason is it gives you a way out. Even though there are some other benefits I walk you through, like content redistribution and your curiosities and networking, those are all great benefits of a podcast. But I really think the two reasons of why you should consider adding a podcast, creating deep relationships with your viewers, and giving you a way out. So I hope this was helpful. And again, if you're looking to start a podcast, go check out those beginner videos. I have a playlist. It's a podcast in 30 days. If you're just, wanting to put your foot in the door of content creation through a podcast, that's the route. I hope this was helpful to people that already know the content game and you're just like, I want to maximize on time. Maybe you've had kids recently. Maybe you're starting other businesses. You want to maximize your marketing efforts. Then I really think the two reasons I gave in this video should really be a great reason why you should start a podcast. If you want to reach out to me about how to do this process, maybe it's talking about equipment, and maybe it's out getting in the studio if you're in Phoenix, or any one of that, feel free to reach out to me, comment below in the video, and I will definitely get connected with you. Again, I just want to help people to understand the value of podcasting. And I get it. It's a very buzzword topic. You have followers. You have people that have already plugged in to know what's going on. And maybe that podcast can just unearth it just a lot better. That's the people I want to talk to. And that's the people I think can really maximize all these benefits of a podcast. So I hope that was beneficial. Get subscribed, because I'm going to have more episodes and conversations like I suggested in the beginning. And yeah, hope to see you guys soon. See you later.